Sometimes the beginning of a story is at the end. Hello everybody, I'm Dave Cook. I'm from the Eno River Association, and we're out here today to tell you a story about somebody who's interred here in the historic Pleasant Green United Methodist Church Cemetery. We're going to tell you today about the ghost of Cole Mill. Here in the historic Pleasant Green Church Cemetery, a lot of the Eno River history is buried. We're by the tombstone of John and Cynthia Cole. John operated the mill on Cole Mill Road for 42 years before his death in 1902. He operated that mill with his 5 sons, and we're here today to meet one of those sons. This is the tombstone of Wiley DeWitt Cole, known to the family as D, son of John and Cynthia Cole, the operators of the Cole Mill. He was born in 1854, and we can read on his tombstone, he died in 1880. And here lies his final resting place. Or is it? This is the actual spot of the Cole Mill Road that many of us have traveled on. This is what it's named for. It actually started out as the McCown Mill in 1813, but eventually it was sold by McCown to John Anderson Cole. And then Cole operated this mill until his death in 1902. He had 5 sons that worked the mill with him, of which Wiley DeWitt Cole was one of those sons. Now, John Anderson, he died in 1902. The Great Flood of 1908 took out this mill along with a whole lot of other mills on the river, and that was the last time it ever operated. So we're looking at the spring house that served as the water source for the Cole family. This is where they got their drinking water from. There was a little well there, and they would get their water out from inside. Later on, a pump was put in and pumped up to the house. And this actually served as a water source for everybody living in that house up until 1996, when Hurricane Fran flooded this whole area through here and contaminated the water inside the spring house. The house itself that the Coles lived in is just up the hill behind us, a few hundred yards. And there was another house back a little further to our west that was where the actual mill operator that was hired by the Cole family lived. And later on, after the mill was no longer in operation, it was a tenant house. They would rent that out. Why do I tell you that? That's part of the story. Now, to understand our story, you need to know a little bit about how mills operate. So we're on the Eno River State Park at the site of the old Cole Mill. The Laurel Bluffs Trail is just a few feet from us. We're on the south bank of the river. And as you walk along this trail, you may spot some millstones. These are the millstones from the old Cole Mill. Now, we won't go into all the technology, but mills did a variety of things. First of all, they were powered by the river. And then the river would come over to a water wheel. It could be an undershot or overshot water wheel. And that would turn all the machinery inside the mill. And these great stones would do a variety of things. Mostly we think of mills grinding grains, corn, wheat, things like that. But you could also have a mill that was a sawmill. And during the time of the Cole Mill, it actually went through a variety of functions. Sawmill, it went through a grist mill, it was used as a tilt hammer mill, all of these different functions that it provided to the community up here. And it was a business. That's what. Within the mill, there was a lot of machinery. A lot of it was belt-driven, large belts that went from the various components and made all of the machinery work together as it was driven by the power of the water of the river. I'm standing on the berm of the Cole Mill race. So with a mill, you had a head race and a tail race. The head race, which is down here below me, might go for hundreds of yards. It's where water was diverted from a dam on the river and then sent the water down the race to the mill wheel, which was just over there. And then below the mill itself would be a tail race where the water would exit the mill and go back into the river. That tells you a little bit about how mills work. But here's what's really cool. The mill race here at Cole Mill is where the ghost of D. Cole walks. Yes. It's 1880. The mill is in operation. Business is going on. John Anderson Cole, his sons are busy at work. And you know how often it is that you just do that one little thing that you wish you could take back. So D. Cole put his knee on a belt in the mechanics of the mill. He was sucked in and cut into 3 pieces. D. Cole made that fatal mistake. He stuck his knee on the belt. He's been sucked up into the mill works. He's cut badly. He's bleeding profusely, but he's not dead yet. There's no internet. There's no telephone. There's no cars. There's only one way to get the doctor, and that's what happens. A friend jumps on a horse and rides more than 5 miles away to Roxborough Road to get the doctor and to bring him back. Roxborough Road, when you're going by horseback, it takes a little while to get here. The doctor did come, but it was too late. Wiley D. Cole had bled to death. So here we are in our story. Wiley DeWitt Cole has been cut badly. He's bleeding. He's not yet dead. His friend is on his way to get the doctor over on Roxborough Road. And the family and the workers carry him up to the house, which is just about 100 yards up the hill from where we sit. Here we get 2 versions of the story, both of them that got a lot of gruesome to them. One version of the story is they placed him on a bed and that he was bleeding so profusely he bled all the way through the mattress to the floor, and that those blood stains to this day have never come out. The other version, he was placed in a wooden coffin as he passed away, or when he passed away, in the living room. Again, bled so profusely it went through the coffin, down to the floor in front of the fireplace, and those blood stains, even today, have not come out of the floor. Wiley DeWitt Cole passed away. He was buried in the Pleasant Green Church Cemetery. But then it was after that people started noticing something odd. Over here at the mill race, right beside us, people started reporting at night hearing strange noises, seeing strange lights. Then came the reports of people seeing a man walking the mill race. This was no ordinary man, because this man was missing his head. Some people reported he was carrying the head in his arms. The next part of our story comes from a descendant of John Cole. Miss Jessie Cole grew up in the house 100 yards up the hill back in the early 1900s before moving away as a child. She remembers this story very well. She was up in the house. Her mom was in the kitchen grinding coffee. They had a tenant at the time. He lived in the old mill operator's house. It's evening time. The tenant comes in the house, strange look on his face. He goes up to Jessie's mom, says, "I saw something very strange down at the site of the old mill. I was down there and I saw a man walking the mill race. The man was perfect, except for one thing. He had no head." And it's here we actually learn the nickname that the family had for Wiley DeWitt Cole. Because Jessie's mom's response is, "Oh, that's just D." The one thing we can tell you that Jessie related to us many years later was she and the other kids were never allowed to come down here and play around the river at night all by themselves. The reason we can bring you this story today is that back in the 1960s and 70s, the Eno River Association embarked on an oral history project as part of our larger effort to save the Eno River from being dammed. And the story of Wiley DeWitt Cole, or the ghost of Cole Mill, actually came from 3 different sources as part of that project. It's hard to imagine sitting here on the beautiful, peaceful Eno River on a spring day, sun shining, birds chirping, pretty windy out here, but just a few yards from where we're at, this great tragedy happened to Wiley DeWitt Cole. Now, I don't know whether there's really a ghost of Dee that's walking up and down the mill race up here. You know, it's not many people here at night. The state park closes at night, so you know, it's been a long time since people have been wandering these woods where they might see it. If you want to see it, please don't come here at night when the park's closed, but you can camp in the Piper Creek campground upriver, so who knows, maybe Mr. Cole will come visit you while you're camping. But I would like to say that at the Eno River Association, we've been dedicated to protecting the lands on the Eno River, but also the cultural history. So it's with great joy we're able to bring you these stories of Eno River lore that have been passed down through many generations. And we hope that you will join us in protecting that important part of our history.